Let me know once my screen is up. Is my screen up, guys?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So today we are going to discuss about what is NFR, what are all the things that is going to include in NFR. So whenever we are starting our project as a performance test engineer, what all the things we need to be taken care. And also like after that, I'll be going to show you like how we can able to record using the LoadRunner. I'm going to share a sort of sample record and replay as well. So before that, so yesterday we were discussing about this architecture. As you all know, as per yesterday's discussion, we have three components in LoadRunner. One is virtual user generated, controller, and analysis. So when you install your LoadRunner file, so in your desktop, you can able to see these three. Virtual user generator is for creating our scripts. Controller is the place where we are going to execute what are all the scripts we are doing for our projects. And analysis is the one where you can able to completely analyze your report. Okay. So, so when we talk about the users and load, definitely we need something which is gonna to generate that required amount of load. Suppose if our application, let's take IRCTC, if railway application needs to go ahead with 1,000 users, okay, here if you see here something called load generator. So those 1,000 users is gonna to generate from this part, which is load generator. The name itself says like it is gonna to generate the required amount of load as per the application and project requirement. Okay, you might get doubt like for 100 users, how many LG machines we are going to use? If it is 1,000, how many machines we are going to use? For that, we will be doing some sort of calculation. Okay, you no need to worry about that. I can help you in the upcoming sessions. Okay, this is the basic architecture. Okay, with the three components and where we have load generator, where this can be able to generate the required load, and this should be integrated with the application. Okay, and now moving to the very first part of performance testing lifecycle, which is NFR. NFR stands for non-functional requirement. So this is one of the most and frequently asked question. You can expect this in the very first line. Once you are done with your introduction, if you are attending any interview, after introduction, they are going to ask you being a performance test engineer or being a performance tester, what are all the NFR that you are going to gather from your client? Okay, so in the very first line, we need to check whether the application is new or it is already existing. Okay, suppose let's take Sri is a product owner. Okay, and Subhani is our BA. And Piyush is performance tester. Okay, so being a performance tester, what is our first step is like we need to check whether the application is new or it is already existing. If it is new, the documentary is different, like how many users we are going to hit the server, like what will be the SLA, and what are all the things we need to take in care. That is in a different mode. If it is already existing, if it is already existing in the sense it is already in production. If it is in already production, we need to gather prod logs. Prod logs in the sense from the interlinked monitoring tool, they are gonna to say like how many users they are expecting in peak hours. Okay, what will be the expected response time, how much throughput they are expecting, and all these things will comes into picture. But if it is already new, and whereas Sri and Subhani don't have any idea regarding to the application, okay, being a performance tester, Piyush should able to give those details. Like if it is new, so definitely there will be a standard values. Like for login, if it is e-commerce application, for login we can expect like around 2 to 3 seconds. And if it is a sort of banking application, we can expect up to 3 seconds. And if we are doing payment, anyhow, like if someone is going to do the payment, that is going to like link with the third party gateway, so that it might take few more seconds, which is like around, we can expect like around 3 to 5 seconds, which is completely acceptable as per the standard values. I'm having all these standard values. I will be sharing that document as well. Okay, once we are done with this session today, I'm going to share the standard values for your reference. So the very first check is whether the application is totally new or existing. And the next thing, application architecture.
Therefore,
Okay,
I have
so
just one of the query. Okay.
yes, yes,
So
Ish.
you are saying that existing means it is in the production, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
we can gather all the logs from the product. So if it is in production, means application is already live, right?
yes, it is
Bef-
already live.
So before going to live, every testing have already done, right? Then again, why
Yes.
it require performance testing?
Yep. Thanks for your a valid question, Piyush. So if it is already existing, so it doesn't mean we are not gonna to touch that application for the next time. See, for each and every application, even if you consider the WhatsApp in your mobile also, for each and every particular frequency, you're gonna to get one update. There might be a chances of adding a few more functionalities into that particular application. So even for that small change also, they will be expecting the performance testing. Or in other case, suppose let's take till last cycle, till second quarter, so-called railway application was with TCS. Now, like due to some modifications from the client and the organization, they are planning to give it to another organization. So again, they need to do all the checks, right? So if you are doing in the November, I mean, if you are doing performance testing for railway application in the November, in the sense, it doesn't mean that need not to be checked again. Okay? No
Okay,
matter what, we
so
need to
in
check it frequently.
yeah, in simple way, you are trying to say whenever the any changes on the current build or any changes on new functionality added, then we need to perform this performance testing. So
Yes, yes. It's not only with the new functionality. Even if there is no change also, like we need to do the performance testing just to check each and every functionality is properly working or not.
okay,
Suppose if there is a small change in the code which might not affect the performance testers work,
okay,
that is gonna to, like if there is a very small change as per the functionality, because they just added one more defect and they just resolved it, and they just want to add it into the production, but that is not at all impacting the performance, any key business scenarios or anything. Even in that situation also, we need to just simply go and hit what are all the scripts we are having, and just we need to go ahead with the run, just to simply say the client that each and every functionality is properly working and everything is up to date. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, clear. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So when we talk about the application architecture, for each and every application, the architecture might be different. Okay, so it will be one tier, two tier, three tier, or n tier. Okay, so we will be discussing about this application architecture in detail tomorrow, because we will be having, just give me a second. Okay, fine. So when we talk about the application architecture, so we have web, app, and DP. Okay. So based on this, we can simply say like if it is 1 tier or 2 tier or 3 tier, or if it is connected with the n layers, we can call it as n layer. Okay, we can discuss about these things in detail tomorrow. And moving to third, we also need to know the technical design. Technical design in the sense, so we need to ask Subhani and Sri exactly if you are talking about so-called IRCTC, if you are dealing with this application, we need to check whether that is developed from Java, or is it from .NET or JavaScript. So based on that technical design, we are going to like define which protocol is going to be apt. Based on the technical design, we are going to check that. Okay, that's the basic information. And also we need to check in scope. What are what all functionalities we are planning to execute for the so-called November release. Sorry. So if you consider this as November release, so what all the things that are going to cover under this release? So you can simply say like what all business scenarios considered for current release. That is in scope. So yesterday we discussed. So if you are having multiple things in your IRCTC, so as they are looking for a sort of ticket booking, which is pretty much needed for a user to use that particular application, those all business scenarios can be considered as in scope. Okay, if you are not considering any particular functionality, or if you are not willing to add any sort of monitoring or debugging so and so functionalities, you can plan that for the next release. Or if the product owner is not at all willing to have that particular functionality for the current, you can simply call it as outscope. Okay, so you can simply say like what all considered for next, or even if they don't have idea, if they simply say like need to be discussed, that can be termed it as outscope. Okay, and also we also need to tell them key business scenarios as well. Suppose, let me open that so that it will be useful for you people. IRCTC. Okay, suppose let's take Sri and Subhani don't have any idea. So they simply said like being a product owner and BA, we don't have exactly what all needs to be considered as critical business scenarios. So being a performance tester, can you please guide us what needs to be included? So they are simply asking Piyush these questions. So as we discussed yesterday, in the same way, so we can tell like, so in order to book a ticket, what all needs to be done? The user needs to be registered, and he can able to log in. He should able to log in with his credentials, and he should able to book his ticket. And if needed, if there is any change in the plan, he needs to cancel that as well. So all things needs to be considered as key business scenarios. So it completely key business scenarios based on how you are looking at that particular application. Exactly what they wants to do. So you can simply remember like this. Exactly like if you are planning to work on any application, what all the things does customer is willing to do. Okay, and the main thing is entry ETRY. We also need to check criteria, entry criteria and exit criteria. Okay, so Entry criteria, when we talk about entry and exit criteria, can anyone let me know what is entry criteria for a +1 student? So if he is moving to intermediate first year, what his entry criteria and what might be his exit criteria?
Entry criteria must be should pass the 10th class.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. And if he already started +1, what is his exit criteria? If he is in +1, what might be his exit criteria?
The plus.
Yeah, exactly. Pass +1. Okay. So in the same way, even if you want to start anything, definitely there might be some prerequisite. And if you are completing that, you can't simply say like this work is done. When you can say that particular work is done, when that particular work is going to met the requirement, then we can say like the work is totally done. Okay. So here, when we talk about the performance testing entry criteria, we can say like it should complete dev and functional phase. In the same way, we can simply say exit criteria is like PT result should be within SLA, which is nothing but service level requirement, or you can also consider it like PC, PT result, performance testing result met as per requirement. So whatever the values we received, that is going to, if that is going to met the required values in the sense, then we can say like exit criteria is done successfully. Okay. And we can also include like tools. So when we talk about the tools, there are n number of tools. Okay. LoadRunner, Neoload, Jmeter, K6, etc. Okay. If Shri and Subhani is already having particular tool in their mind, if they are willing to go ahead with LoadRunner, then they can say like, we already have a LoadRunner license, so you can make use of that. Or if they are having license for the Neoload, they can say like, our organization is already linked with Neoload, so you can make use of it. Okay. If they don't have any idea, so again, so here whatever the things we are discussing, in each and every point we will be having like two scenarios. One, if product owner and BA is going to help us, have any idea, the next scenario is within our plate, means it is within performance testers. Okay. Then we need to do a small POC. If they simply say like we don't have any knowledge on that, Amulya, so can you please suggest like which tool is going to give us the best report? Then what we can do is like, so we can simply record one script. Okay. So based on the complexities and based on the efficiency of the report, we can simply say like this is more compatible with LoadRunner, so we can make use of this. So if they are saying like no, we don't have that much of budget, we are planning for more than 100 users as we are hitting into the market for the first time. So we don't want to keep more budget on that part. So can you please help us with any open source tool? If they are asking in that way, then we can also suggest Jmeter. So it completely depends on multiple factors. Okay. And the next thing is deployed monitoring tools. Okay. So if we are facing any issue, even though if we are facing issue or not, so if whatever the hits we are hitting to the server, those can be monitored by using monitoring tools. So we do have multiple things, I mean multiple tools like AppD and Perfmon as well, and etc. Sorry. So if they are already integrated, they'll say like we already integrated with New Relic. So you can see all the prod and all the executed hits over there as per the timeline. So if they're simply saying like we don't have that budget, so please Piyush, so you can consider so-called monitoring tool configuration for the next release. It means you can simply say like monitoring tool is out scope for the current release. Okay, in that case, you can simply use perfmon just to check like all the values are within the limit or not. And the next thing, we also need to check exactly during which hours we can able to hit the server. Okay, if we are in like if we are dealing with our Indian applications, our run times will be different. If you're working with US or UK applications, they say like you can able to hit the server within these specific hours. Okay, based on that, they are going to tell exactly during which time period we can able to run. For few applications, whenever they are not at into production, we can able to run those many testings in any hour because it is not going to hit the prod timelines, right? So there is no much risk if the application is not yet into production, and if that is completely new, you can able to run those performance tests at any time. Okay, and also we need to check whether that application is having so-called batch process. Okay, the, I mean batch process means suppose let's take if you're working into any banking application. Okay, if it is banking application, suppose let's take you are mm, doing one scenario where you want to apply for loan process. Okay, if you want to apply for loan process, suppose let's take I am applying for loan process and it is going to be approved by three approvers. Suppose let's take Ashwini is the first approver, Shri is second approver, and Peter is third approver. Because if you are simply applying in the sense, it's not going to validate and approve the loan, right? So that might be like it can be approved, but if it is bit high amount, definitely that should be done with proper checks. Okay, but whenever you are doing the performance testing for such scenarios, how they are gonna to provide is like if Amulya is gonna to apply the loan application in the sense, whoever the performance tester, they will be having all the approver access. So if Ashwini is creating that script in the sense, Ashwini is having approver 1 access, approver 2 access, and approver 3 access. That is nothing but they will be creating roles as per our IDs. Okay, if Ashwini is working in Infosys, suppose let's take she is working in Infosys. So within her email ID, they are gonna to add approver 1, approver 2, and approver 3 access so that she can able to generate that particular script without any conflicts. Okay, if there is batch process in the sense, it is nothing but sort of maintenance period. Okay, so I worked for one of the bank application. Okay, so for that application, for that organization, 5 to 5:30 p.m. IST is the batch process hours, which is nothing but maintaining hours. No matter what, how many roles that got assigned to particular user, if batch process is running in the sense, it is going to delete all the roles. So it means if Ashwini is creating the task, if she is creating any script in the sense, she need to get in touch with a particular team to get the access after the batch process every day. Then only she is going to get that. So we need to check because if you are not checking whether they do have a batch process or not in the sense, suppose let's consider, as I said, suppose let's 5 to 5:30 is the maintenance period for that particular application. Okay, if I am running my performance testing at 4:30 and if I'm going to end that by 5:30 in the sense, for the very first half an hour, I'm going to see the successful hits. After 5, I'm going to see each and every script is failing. Just because of that particular ID lost access to all the roles, approval 1, 2, and 3. So that's the reason we need to check whether that particular application is having batch process or not, which is nothing but maintenance. Okay. And also we need to check UAT timelines. Okay. Suppose let's take they start they if the team is gonna to say like from November 17 to they're gonna to give you 1 week for UAT timelines. Okay. Suppose let's take 17 to 21. Okay. So this is the time period for performance testers. Okay. It means only you should do the performance run during this period. During this period only they are gonna to irctc.perf.com. They are gonna to activate this particular environment and they will be providing you what are all the roles that user should needs. Once this timeline got completed, they are gonna to revoke each and every role that got added and they are gonna to revoke the entire build, whatever they provided. So that's the reason they are going to provide like UAT timelines. It means like within that time zone, you should do each and everything regarding to performance testing. And in few cases, we will be getting test data details from functional team. But in more like from recent applications, like we should like being a performance tester, they are expecting us to create the required amount of test data. Suppose let's take suppose let's take this application, so which is nothing but a sort of web tools. So this is the application where we will be playing around. So suppose let's take we are going ahead with 100 users. Okay. If the functional team is already having the data and they can simply provide 1 second. So here also we do have two cases. If functional team is having that particular data, saying like test 01, test 02, followed by test 100. If they are having that particular data, they are going to do that. And for that, they can simply create ABCD as a password, etc. So on. So if they don't have data, okay. So if they are not having any data, they will simply ask us to create the test data. So there is nothing much to there is nothing to worry about over here, because if you want to create any particular test data, you can simply create one particular script for that. Okay, so here if you see here, there is one option called sign up now. If I'm simply making use of my LoadRunner and I'm simply recording that, so my first step is like launching this application and I'm simply clicking on sign up now. So I need to provide, suppose this is November, right? So November, sorry, November 01 is my test data. I mean username, ABCD is my password, and I'm just confirming my password. And I'm clicking on continue. So what are all the mandatory things that needs to be created in order to sign up? So we will be providing that. So if you are going to create one particular script for that, you can make use of that particular script, and within this NOV01, there is something called parameterization in performance testing. If you are using that concept in the sense, you can make use of multiple unrequired data. So instead of this now 01, you can create till infinite numbers as per your requirement by the use of parameterization concept. So you can simply record one script, and if you are enhancing that script in the sense, you can get whatever the required data that is pretty much needed for your execution. So if they don't have data, so being a performance tester, we should create script and generate test data as per test requirement. Okay. And also we can ask like exactly in the NFR document itself, we can ask about the load, whether they are planning for 100 or 200 or 300. And that is one case when if the client is aware of that particular load. Here is one scenario. If client aware of load, he is going to tell the number. If he is not aware, so again it's our responsibility. If client is not aware, then performance tester should suggest as per the standards. If it is e-commerce application, then we can say like so we need to check the like so-called what we can say, what are all the existing apps we are having. Okay, so we can compare those values with that. And also we need to check the breakdown as well. So if we are checking for breakdown, the test is called stress test. So what we'll do, we'll just simply go with 100 and we will go on simply adding with 10 users, 120, 130, 140, and we'll be checking all the server side metrics and also client side metrics. And if that is completely dropping and if we are seeing any breakdown over there, then we can decide like exactly at 140 users we are seeing breakdown. It means for this particular application, the server is going to handle till 140 users. If the client is willing to go ahead with more than that particular breakdown, definitely he should increase server capacity. Okay, these all the things we need to be taken care when we talk about NFR. Okay, first we need to check whether the application is new or existing, and we need to check the application architecture, and we need to exactly like check exactly from which background it is, and what are all the components, and what are all the functionality we are taking care for the current release, what is out scope, and what are all the scenarios we are planning to do for the current release, and what is entry criteria, what is exit, exactly which tool we are planning, and what are the deployed monitoring tools, and we need to check the specific time, and we also need to check do they have any batch process, what is UAT timelines, test data details, and also about the load. So, like, you no need to get confused about these 15 points, okay? Like, it completely depends on the organization individual. So, like, for each and every organization, they will be having separate template for that. But what are all the details we are having here? Those all should be included over there. But if someone is asking you in any interview, so being a performance test, at least you should go ahead with at least a minimum of 7 to 8 points. The main things, like so far I interviewed like more than 150 plus candidates. So like what being in my place, what most of the people will be expecting from here is like, so the very and first foremost point is like new and existing architecture, in and out, entry and exit, and also test data or test details, something like that. So when someone asks about NFR, firstly they will be expecting these 5 to 6 things. Remaining these points are like it completely depends on the project, but these are pretty much needed. Okay, this is about NFR. Any questions on NFR so far?
So let's say if you want to test 1 lakh users, so we need to create all 1 lakh users in our.
Sorry, your voice is a bit breaking, Subhani. Can you please come again?
Okay, let's assume we want to test for 1 lakh users. Do we need to create all
Mhm.
1 lakh users in the system?
See, it completely depends. If your application is gonna to accept only unique data, definitely those needs to be generated. Okay, but like most of the applications, when we are doing the performance testing, they can simply say like we can make use of the same users. So like if they are looking for 1 lakh users in this sense, like all perf test IDs, they are not expecting 1 lakh perf test IDs should be active. So they are going to give like around 20 to 30 or around 50 or 100. So we can make use of the same data as a sort of sequential mode.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
if you're
okay.
adding those 100 users in your parameter file, those 100 users will be gonna to add into your execution, and those 100 users will be executing for the 1 lakh users.
I understood. Understood. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yep. Yep. Any more questions on NFR, guys?
Not a question, Amrita. I just want to know, like the workload model also will be considered as an effort, right? If I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
yes, 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 that is also included. Yep. So I thought of adding that in the next point. I mean, not now, tomorrow. Yes, that is
Okay.
also one of the most important workload modeling. So we will be having workload modeling in detail as well, because this needs calculation. Okay. So workload modeling in the sense, it is going to the scenario. Define the scenario in the sense how much load that is going to be acceptable. Like if we are having multiple scripts, like for that one particular script, based on the sort of criticality and based on the availability, how much load we can able to accommodate for that particular script. Okay, and also here we will be having something called pace time. Okay, and we will be having something called think time. Okay, so number of iterations. We do have multiple terminology here, so don't get confused. So each and everything we are going to discuss later. So workload modeling in the sense, you can simply say like it is going to define exactly how we are going to design your scenario. Define how we will be designing scenario in terms of load, pacing values, think time values, and iteration. Number of iterations that needs to be generated per 1 hour. So all these things will be considered. Okay. Any more questions? If no questions, I'll move to sample recording. Hi,
Okay.
Amulya. How to
So
suggest client what type of
one
testing?
more question I have. It's
Yes,
regarding the
yes.
earlier point where you have mentioned that sometimes we need to perform this testing in the production during the peak hours, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking in that way there is a impact to the users, right? Let's say if you have any, we are increasing the amount of request on the application, so it may be
Mm-hmm.
impact to the users, right? So I'm just no.
So I think you got a bit confused over that, Subhani. I said like
Mm.
we need to get confirmation from the client exactly what are their peak hours and also production time. If there is production time and if you are going ahead with unique data and such data, I mean whatever might be the data, that is gonna to impact the prod values, right?
Yes, yes.
So we
Mm.
should be doing the testing on non-prod hours.
Okay, okay, understood. Now it's clear.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Yeah. I got one message. It's from Jaydeep. Yeah, hi Jaydeep. How to suggest client what type of testing is required for that application? See, as said, if the client is aware, then we can say that particular load. And also, if he's not aware, we can suggest like exactly how much load we can able to go ahead, and also we can go ahead with stress test by normal. And when you talk about what type of testing, so, as per the yesterday's discussion, we do have multiple types. Like, see, load, stress, endurance, spike, sanity. So, based on their requirement, only we are going to suggest this. See, suppose let's take if Amazon came to our plate and they are asking like they are asking us to go ahead with performance testing in the sense, definitely whatever the load they are expecting, we will be doing the load test for that particular application. Anyhow, we will be going ahead with stress. And also, if they are going with some sort of big billion sale, definitely there will be a sort of immediate rise. See, anyhow, if they're going ahead with one particular, suppose let's take they started the sale here in the sense at one particular time period, suppose let's take 9 a.m. So if that is going to close by 10 a.m., anyhow we are going to see a very big spike in that particular duration. So as per the requirement, if they are expecting that particular spike in the sense, then we will be activating the spike test as well. Okay, and if they want to check for more duration, we will be going ahead with endurance. So for each and every performance testing, there are like different settings, and we do have different definitions for that. So you'll get that confirmation going forward. But for your question, exactly based on the client requirement for that particular release, we are gonna to say like for this release, as per the requirement, we can conduct load, stress, and spike. Is that clear, Jaideep? Okay, fine. Thank you. Now I'm going to show you the sample recording, exactly how we are going to do that. So if it is web tour, I'm just going to start a server. This is the key for start server. So don't get confused. I'm going to help you with installations, and I will be sharing all these files with you. So as said earlier, virtual user generator is the place where we will be doing scripting. So I'll just close this. I'll come from scratch. See, I'm just simply opening this. So this is how when you open your like virtual user generator, this is how it looks. So first we need to go and click new script and solution. Okay. Okay. Based on so far we discussed about in NFR, we discussed about the technology, right? Where is that? See, if it is Java, .NET or JS, we will be discussing this. So for now we will be like in our sessions, we are going to discuss about web protocol and also true client. And if the time permits, we'll be including API. Anyhow, they will be adding the recording sessions for you as well. So as WebTools is our web-based application, so I'm just simply clicking on this protocol. So let's take November 18th demo. So this is my script name. Okay, and here you need to provide exactly at which location you are planning to create. So in desktop, I will create one more folder. Where is my desktop? Desktop, I'll create one more folder. Saying LR November 2025. Okay, I'm simply creating one more folder. So what all the scripts I'm generating in our sessions, that will be saved over there. So clicking on create. Okay, so I'm going to simply record. So this is the place where we need to click record. So as this is web browser, I'm going to use the record is web browser and application. So it completely depends. I'm using Firefox for now for recording. So if you want Edge, you can go ahead. If you want Chrome, you can go ahead. I'm using Firefox. And if you are working with Domino's, they will be providing one URL www.domino's.perf.com. Okay, if you are going with IRCTC, it will be like www.irctc.com. So as this is WebTours application, this is the URL for that. You need to provide on which URL you are planning to work. Okay, so click on start recording. So you need to provide the URL, and also you need to provide exactly on which browser you are planning to record. Okay, so that is going to launch you to that particular page. Okay, and simply I'm trying to log in. 1 second. So these are universal credentials. Jojo and BAN is my Bean is my password. Okay, even if you install, there is no need to click on sign up. So you can make use of these universal credentials, which will be applicable for all. So if you want to create new credentials for you people, so you can simply create new credentials for you. Okay, Jojo and Bean, and I'm simply clicking on login. Okay, and if you want to come out and if you want to record only that particular login functionality, you can simply click on sign off. So once that particular action is done in that particular application, simply click on stop recording. Like there is one more option called cancel recording. So instead, if you are clicking this, whatever the recording you did so far, that is going to cancel each and everything. So don't click on cancel. This is the place where you want to stop. Okay, I'm just stopping my recording. So it will take few seconds in order to generate your views and script. Okay. See what I did so far. I just launched the application. I just logged in with the credentials JO as username and Bean as password. Okay. And then I just clicked sign off. So if you click on action.c, this is the place where you will be having the entire code. See, I logged into welcome page. See, the name itself says I am in welcome page. If I come down, it is saying like I used so-called, let me enlarge. I used Jojo as the username and password is Bean. Okay. And I clicked on sign off button. Okay. So it is going to give you like exactly what all actions you are performing in that particular application. This is the basic recording. So when we talk about the performance testing, we are like mainly focusing out of all these things. When we talk about performance testing, the first and very foremost thing is like response time. So we will be discussing about client and server side metrics tomorrow. So first, let me like tell you the response time, which is foremost thing. Okay, so we can simply define it as the time taken by the server to respond for particular request. Okay, exactly how much time it is taking in order to respond for that particular request, whether it is 1 second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Okay, that is response time. See, I just simply recorded by navigating to that web tour and I just logged in and logged off. Okay, I'm just gonna to simply replay it. See, it is simply showing like script is passed, and in order to complete that entire thing, I mean execution for replay, it took like 4 seconds. 4 seconds, 128 milliseconds. But if you see over here, we are not seeing like exactly how much time it is taking for sign off, how much time it is taking for login. See how much time it is taking for login and how much time it is taking for welcome. See it in the replay, I'm simply saying like it is taking 4.12 seconds. Okay, the reason why we are not seeing the response time of welcome page, the response time of login page, and the response time of sign off button is like it is due to missing transaction points. So the purpose of transaction point is to measure response time. Okay, now let me simply generate one more script by adding transaction so that you can get a clear picture. So November 18 transaction point demo. Okay, let me simply create one more. I'll just add one transaction point. I'm not going to do anything else over here. See, I'm using the same Firefox application. I'm using so-called WebTools application and clicking on Start Record. So whenever you click on Start Record, there is something called timer over here. See, insert transaction. Okay. So now I'm just planning to add the transaction for this login page. So I'll simply add transaction saying like login. My transaction name is login and click on OK. So once you create the transaction, you should do the action. BEAN. Bean is my password. After logging into that particular application, then you can close that transaction. Okay, you can start and stop the transaction. You can stop the transaction only after finishing your action. So now I am clicking on sign off. Okay, before doing that, I'll simply write my transaction name as sign off, and I created the transaction. As my transaction is already created, and I will click on sign off now. Okay, as my action is completed, I'm just simply closing the transaction. That's it. If you are done with your recording, simply stop it. Now it is going to generate one more script with transaction points. See, we just create a transaction for only for login and logout, which is nothing but sign off. But we missed for launch action.c. See, if you are unable to start and stop the transaction for the launch page, because whenever you click on record and whenever you click on start recording, by default it is going to launch the application. For this application, at least you will be having minimum of 2 seconds to load the page. But for most of the applications, if you click on start recording, it will directly launch you to that particular page. It means you can't able to click on create transaction or click on end transaction. So that's the reason the best way to create transaction point for the welcome page is do it manually. So simply select it. Okay. And there is something called transaction. See. Okay. Able to see this, right? Start transaction. So my transaction name is launch. So once you are done with that, so this is my request. Okay. After last, I will stop my transaction. This is my transaction name. I'm just simply copying and pasting it over here. Even if you are going to write it from your keypad, even if there is a small change in the case, see here it is L is caps here. Even if you are going with that minute mistakes also, it is going to impact. Okay, let me save it and simply go ahead with replay. Now what we are expecting? We are expecting the response time for the launch page and also for the login page and also for the sign off page. Okay, if you are creating transactions in this sense, see the purpose of transaction point is to measure the response time. Okay, see as I said earlier, if you are giving mismatch in the naming convention, it is going to throw you error. See, even if it is passed, you need to check the logs, right? So it is going to say like so-called transaction is not properly ended. Let me go to replay summary. Okay, the logs are not added. See, failed to end so-called transaction launch by name. Please check that made a call to start transaction operation. It means it is simply saying like this so-called launch is not properly started. Okay, so that's the reason why I am asking you to go ahead with copy and paste for this type of scenarios. So even whenever you are going ahead with the giving so-called transaction, this is not the proper naming convention. So if it is a transaction point, we need to define application name, scenario number, scenario name, I'll simply TX, transaction number followed by transaction name. If you consider this, what is our application? It is web tours, and the scenario number is, it is our first script. I'll simply write scenario 1, and I just tried to log in, right? So this is login script, and my transaction number is T01, and my transaction name is launch. This is the proper naming convention. So if I want to give the same for the remaining two,
Amulya,
this
so
is second.
you have done just in the load runner manually, you just change the name launch, right?
Yes,
So is there any functionality where we can change, replace all, or we can change like that?
one second. So this is the naming convention. One second, one second. Okay, I'll just add this. Yeah, you're saying something, right, Piyush?
Yeah, yeah, I was asking that is there
So
any
yeah,
functionality in the,
yeah. Is there is any functionality
yeah, is there any functionality
for
where
what?
see you have done just you have done launch, you have manually you have changed the name, right? Small to capital. So
Yes.
is there any functionality where we
Ha
can
ha ha
change,
ha.
find in Jmeter we have,
See,
right?
y- yeah. See, if anyhow, only for the launch page we are creating it manually from here, because if you click on record, by default it is navigating us to launch page. After that, where we will be like clicking on start transaction and end transaction. Correct? If you want to check whether so-called your transaction name is correct or not, you can also use Control F. Okay, so you can check find all, so that it is going to give you like LR start transaction, launch, login, and sign off. In the same way, Control F, you can check LR end transaction, find all, like this. This is also one way.
We
So you
cannot
can't
replace,
go
right?
and see. One second. If you want to replace anything over here, you can able to check it, and you can able to add those things manually. Able
Because
to
in
hear me,
Jmeter
Piyush?
we have, that's what I asked you.
No, no, here there is no such thing. So here
Yeah.
you need to check each and every every start and end transaction, and you can replace it accordingly. So that's the reason. So if you are clicking, or else you can do one thing. So if you are simply clicking on LR underscore, it is going to give you, like, if there are multiple LR functions, it is going to give you multiple things. If there is only start and end, you will be getting like this. See, LR start launch, LR end launch. So you can check the case sensitive for these things as well. Okay. But as we just simply clicked on sample recording and replay, you'll be getting only LR start and end. But if you are going and playing around with all the functionalities, whatever we are having over here, you might get more LR values. Functions. Okay. So, and if you want to replace with that particular functionality, I believe like instead of this, it's better to check like this only. Okay, because whenever we are having one particular word, there might be a chances of changing in the functionalities inside that particular request as well. Do you get what I'm speaking?
Yes, yes, I am getting.
Suppose let's take, if you are changing any login, if there is any login word in any of the item data over here, so instead of that, instead of exactly what you are looking for by using Control F, and you can simply replace it. Okay. But I suggest you not to click on replace all. If you are simply clicking on finding next and click on that's fine. But most of the people use to click on replace all as a by default click. Instead of that, I would suggest you to go with searching in this.
Your voice is breaking, Amulya.
How about now?
Yeah, it's
Is it
somehow
fine now,
better.
Piyush?
Yes, yes, somehow better.
Okay. Is that same for everyone?
Oh, it's
Is my
fine.
okay, fine, fine. Yeah. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about the client and server side metrics and will be followed with application architecture and a basic quiz. Okay, based on yesterday's and today's session, I'll be simply giving you 10 questions. Okay, it's some sort of play around this. That's it. Okay, just to get like whether we are getting the topic or not. Fine.
Yeah.
What will be the reward?
Oh, after the
Reward is
completion
your
of each
learning.
and yeah, the reward is nothing but a sort of pure satisfaction for me as a trainee.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine, guys. Yeah, if no further questions, I'll wind up this session and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Okay. Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Malia.
guys. Thanks for your
One
time.
last question actually. So
Yes, yes,
all
Shubham.
this time I thought that the test will done. I mean, we are running on the tool, so I thought it will trigger on the browser. So as for my understanding now, it only running in the tool itself and giving the stats, right?
Your voice is a bit breaking, Subhani. You are saying like, can you please repeat the question?
Okay, so
Or you can also type it over here. Mm.
okay, just now we have run one test, sample test. So it's running in the tool itself and giving the stats. So what I thought earlier, so it will run on the browser and get the details. So that's what I noticed.
No. Okay, okay. It's not from the browser. So it will from whatever the tool. If it is LoadRunner tool, then like where we are creating and generating the script. See, anyhow, my screen is still
Yes, yes,
sharing,
still
right?
visible. Mm.
So in the Vusion, here you are gonna to simply generate the script, but for multiple users, you are not gonna to make use of this virtual user generator for your execution. So
Oh,
in order to go ahead with those many required users, we do have another component called controller. Okay,
okay,
whatever the replay you are doing here, that is just only for the validation of your script.
okay, understood.
Okay,
Okay,
but for
okay,
execution purpose, we will be using another
okay.
component.
I got
Okay,
it. I got it.
yeah.
I'm too early to ask
If
this. Okay, I understand.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
fine, fine.
Amul. I got
If
it.
you
Thank you.
want the
Thank you so
stats
much.
from browser,
Hmm.
fine, fine, fine. Okay. If you want the values from the browser, like without doing all these things, like if they want, suppose if they are not looking the performance testing as that much priority, but if they are just looking for those values for our reference, then we can make use of Lighthouse tool, where the browser is going to give the response time values, and that is completely a different part. Okay.
Okay, okay, understood. Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.